Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the opportunity to hear the stories of people who live in Cache Valley, but not always find it easy to fit in. These interviews are sponsored by the Logan Tabernacle Concert and Lecture Series Committee and Cache Community Connection. I'm your host, Carol Fote, and today I'm talking with Hadjer. Hadjer is a student at USU, and I want to welcome you.
Hello, Carol. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to be here with you and to be your host. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad to have you. So we're going to start out with finding out about what brought you to Cache Valley.
That's a great question. I have many people asking me this question. So I came to the US through my dad. He was a businessman, and once he began to travel a lot, it gave him a better perspective about the world. And he realized that the United States is the best fit for his kids. So because of the opportunities that the US has. So then he met my ex-stepmom in Chicago, and she was originally from Fielding, Utah. So she brought us here. And then we liked here the lifestyle, and because of the Utah State University, we end up here.
I see. All right. The university brings a lot of people here.
True.
So, okay, you told me that you attended high school in Cache Valley, and due to there being a language barrier and no diversity at your school, did you feel like an outsider?
In the beginning, yes, because it was my own perspective, my own thinking. I had in my mind the fear of Americans before coming here. So I had the prejudging, right? But after I start living with those people, and I was taking classes at Bear River High School in Garland, Utah. And this place is not used to have strangers or people outside, international students, right? And then after taking classes there, I have had amazing teachers, amazing students, that they make me feel that I belong there.
Wonderful. That's good to hear. So I understand that you not only graduated from high school here in Utah, but you also graduated from your high school in Algeria. Why graduate from both schools?
That's a very good question, because in Algeria, I was in my last year of high school. This is a very crucial year because it's the year where it determines, your grades determines where you go in the university. So my grades determine what major you're gonna take. You don't choose your majors. The grade you take is gonna get you the major, maybe the one of the 3 majors or 4 majors that you choose based on your grades, right? And in Algeria, I used to be among the let's say the smart students. I used to get the first top positions, like we say. And in my last year, I came here in February. That was in the middle of the term, or in the middle of the year. So when I came here, I had to come back and take my Algerian test because especially to satisfy my mom. My dad was seeing me as an American student, but my mom was having that fear of maybe failing to fit the American style. So she told me, like, Hadjer, you need to get your Algerian diploma and register for the university. So if you go to the United States and you don't succeed, at least you have a plan B in Algeria.
I see. Well, that makes sense.
Right?
Yes, it does. Okay. So let's back up just a little bit to when you were your younger years in Algeria. Tell us a little bit about the city you came from, the area. Was it a peaceful area? What are the government? Just kind of give us a little look at your young life.
So let me tell you, Algeria is a very huge country that has very different weather and very different states, and each state is different than the other. And when I say states, I mean like provinces,
Okay.
because that's how we translate it from English to Arabic, but I mean provinces.
Mhm.
The province that I came from has small cities. I came from a small city that is in the middle of Algeria. It's dry like Utah, but it's not that crazy cold in the winter, like here in Logan. We don't have that much snow. It was hard in the beginning to fit with that snow, but now I'm afraid that if I go to Algeria, I can't adapt with the hot there.
So that you learned something good then about Logan, that snow's not so bad and cold.
Right? And so Algeria is a peaceful country. The only issue in Algeria is the corruption among the government, among all the other how I say fields,
Entities or
or
whatever.
yes, I like, as an Algerian person, I wish my country is gonna become like the US, where like I have freedom, where there's justice, where people see you as an asset, not because I am rich or because I am the kid of a known person, I can get the position.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. So you wear the scarf, or as you have taught me, it's a hijab, correct?
True.
And it's a source of curiosity for many of us. Why is it so important to you wear that? And do you wear it by choice?
Yes, I wear my headscarf by choice, and it is worn by women to maintain modesty and privacy from unrelated males. So at my home, I take it off. With my family, I take it off. If it's just a place where it's just a woman, I take it off. But like where there is a male, it's kind of, he's a stranger. He doesn't have the right to see my body. And when we say headscarf, I have also to wear long sleeves and long how I call pants.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just kind of covering my body and respecting to my body and respecting to males around me.
I see. I am going to ask you one other question that I haven't talked about before. I think you had mentioned that you cannot shake hands with a man.
True.
And sometimes, just people just to be friendly, if I introduced you to a man, he probably would, if not knowing any better, would reach out to shake your hand. And it's not that you're unfriendly, it's just that that is not something that you select or elect to do. Correct?
True. I have faced the situations where sometimes I end up shaking their hands because it's like something that came in they surprise me. So I can't say no, but like most of the time I try to have my hands holding something so I don't end up in this bad situation where I make the other party, especially men, to feel awkward. But
Okay.
then I explained to them saying, sorry, we don't handshake because in my religion, women are sacred. We don't touch any male. And I like to give an example of the Queen Elizabeth. She doesn't handshake any hands of male around her except for her closer
People that she
males around her.
knows. Or,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. And
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay. So I know that you work at Walmart because you told me that in an earlier conversation. And I'd like to know if you have had any issues with customers and or your coworkers. How do they respond to you and how do they treat you?
Yes, I work at Walmart and I really appreciate Walmart from this platform. Thank you to tell them that thank you for accepting diversity. Thank you for accepting minority there, because in the beginning I told you like I used to be scared from people. I used to have that view that American people hate Muslims, and I was always afraid to talk out. and always was ashamed of my English. But Walmart and people at North Walmart of Logan gave me the chance to speak up, to be a part of them. And one day I remember I had the customer, he's an old guy, and he asked my help, and I responded to him with beautiful smile and welcomed him to Walmart. And he asked me a little bit about the product. Then I think he looked at me because he was using his share, right? Then he looked at me very well and he said, "Are you Muslim?" I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Are you a terrorist?" I was like, "No, no, like I'm here peaceful." And then he was like, "Okay, okay." And he drove away from me. And that really gave me a very shock
Yeah.
because especially at Walmart, I used to have people who welcome me always. I used to have people who try to know me, people who hug me. I really have a lot of experiences with women who came and asked me if they can hug me after having with them the conversation, and always they're being open and saying, "Oh wow, like why you," so they start always by wondering why I wear the headscarf, and we end up talking about Algeria and about Islam and about Arabs and about all cultures, about traveling, about school. But that day I was like, oh my goodness, like how come, especially if
He
you
would
never had.
ask you that he would
Yes,
ask you, are you a terrorist? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Especially like Carol, like especially if you used to have good people around you, and then in sudden you got someone who's being like shock you, especially with the question of terrorists. I was like, no, I am not. And always I feel bad about how media keeps advertising to Muslims. And then I went with tears in my eyes to my people, and my coworkers were like, "What happened, Hadjer?" And I explained, and they felt super bad. They reacted badly than I did because I just was shy to talk, but they speak up. And one of them, he went after that customer and he said, "Hey, this is Hadjer. She's good. She works with us. We know her. She's amazing. We don't want people like you around us."
Oh,
And that makes me feel really that day I felt loved. I went to my Facebook and posted like this incident and say, "Hey, there are good and bad people everywhere. Like, look, I don't blame that man because he's old and he has been all his life in the US. He never maybe traveled or had the chance to see diversity around him. But media is a huge, huge danger around us, because even in Algeria, they show us sometimes as Americans as bad." And I told you how I had that fear from Americans in the beginning.
mhm.
And I thank God that I ended up in Utah, because maybe if I went to New York, I can see diversity. I would never feel that. But because I came to Utah, I could see the importance of respecting others' beliefs and see them as a human. Let's just forget about all of those stereotypes, and let's forget about religion, because religion is a personal choice, but humanity is a right and duty.
You are so right. Yes. And I'm so pleased to hear that the people at Walmart, your coworkers, were willing to go to bat for you and say, hey, she's a good woman. She doesn't, basically, they're saying she doesn't deserve to be treated that way. And unfortunately, I know you mentioned that because he was an old man, he probably didn't understand diversity. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people of all ages that do not understand diversity. And that's why we do these interviews, because we want people to get to understand and get to know people that might not look like them. So I'm really happy for you that you had that experience, really, but on the good side of it, that you had people say, hey, she's a good woman. She is not a terrorist. So, yeah. So we have a list of questions here, and we kind of go off the tracks once in a while, but finally coming down here to the end, I want to know, what can we do in Cache Valley to be better neighbors? How can we get to know and understand each other better?
Let me tell you guys, communication is the key. Do the first step and get to know others, because they may have the same feeling toward you, and they may have the interest to know your culture and your background. Also, apply the mutual respect. We may be different in our backgrounds. We may be different in our beliefs and religions and everything. But we, like I said, we have humanity that we share. We have that word that we share. So respect others is another key for understanding each other.
Sure.
I would say, yeah, let's let our humanity get over our differences. Let's that difference, because that difference is a mercy that we have. And that is going to benefit all the humanity if we make it work in the good benefits and in the win-win situations.
That's correct.
In that case, we would guarantee a peaceful world where everyone have the right to live on it.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm so pleased that we got to do this interview, Hadjer, and that I've had the opportunity to get to meet you and get to know you. And I can't wait till I can get to see you. We can sit down and have a nice visit, go to lunch and talk some more.
Hopefully after the COVID go, right?
That's
we
right.
Can all meet.
Yeah. And Hadjer and I realize that we both do like to talk. So we're going to end this interview here now, and we've kept up with a good time slot here. And I again appreciate you and thank you so much. And good luck to you in your studies and in your endeavors in life.
Thank you, Carol, again for giving me the chance and giving it to everyone that you're interviewing. This is a very amazing project that you're working on. I hope, like every university and every place that has a power of media, to do the same as you're doing. We need to have platforms that show the real face of the world, the real face of people's, so we know how to treat things, and we know that there are good and bad people everywhere.
That's right. Again, thank you.